Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 79, 106 Phoenix Terrace Envoy, Zhang Ning. 79th of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Julie clan elder in the Five Seas realm was deeply shaken by these words. His gaze immediately fixed on Li Wei, and he urgently asked, "Are you truly in the Surging Spring realm?" Yaoyan interjected, speaking for Li Wei, "Of course my guard is in the Surging Spring realm." Even at the same level, he wouldn't deign to fight the Dharma Fire Ape, he considers it beneath his dignity. If he were truly in the Five Seas realm, he wouldn't even spare it a second glance. After all, the Dharma Fire Ape is far too weak. Many Julie clan martial mystic cultivators recognized Yaoyan. She's the granddaughter of the Yaoli tribe's chief. Could the martial mystic cultivator who cleaved the Dharma Fire Ape in two really be a Nine Springs supreme being? Haha. Her scathing remarks about the Dharma Fire Ape are truly satisfying. The Yaoli tribe has been hiding their strength well. They've revealed a pure immortal physique in two Nine Springs supreme beings, each more formidable than the last. Yaoyan continued, if the Dharma Fire Ape hadn't been so aggressive, trying to kill my other guard, it wouldn't have met such a fate. It only has its own arrogance to blame. Just because you say he's in the Surging Spring realm doesn't make it true, the Tiger Demon and Wolf Demon retorted. How could they believe someone in the Surging Spring realm could cleave the Dharma Fire Ape in two with a single strike? Even a full silver pure immortal physique couldn't achieve such a feat. From the massive warship, a woman's voice rang out, laced with mockery. The spiritual energy of the Five Seas realm is fundamentally different from that of the Surging Spring realm. Is there no one else here who can see through this? If you doubt he's in the Surging Spring realm, why not test him? While the Tiger Demon kept the Julie clan elder in the Five Seas realm occupied, the Wolf Demon seized the opportunity to flank around. Its four legs pounded the ground as it rapidly closed the distance to Li Wei and his companions. The Wolf Demon's abdomen glowed crimson gold, countless flames swirling within. The air temperature along the riverbank soared. Whoosh! A torrent of fiery spiritual energy erupted from its lungs, coalescing into crimson gold blades and sword shadows. Wherever these fiery constructs surged, they carved deep gouges into the ground. Excellent. Today, the Surging Spring realm will slay the Five Seas realm. Li Wei roared fearlessly, taking 3 bold steps forward. His battle intent and momentum surged to their peak as he fully mobilized the spiritual energy of his ancestral field. Gripping his blade with both hands, he swung it down in a thunderous arc. Boom! A golden blade radiance illuminated the river, cleaving through the onrushing flames. The two forces clashed in a stalemate for several breaths. The Wolf Demon's energy began to wane, its fiery breath sputtering to a halt. Li Wei's spiritual energy, however, flowed ceaselessly, thick and inexhaustible. His fighting spirit blazing, he charged forward, engaging the Wolf Demon in a brutal close-quarters duel. From the ships, martial mystic experts watched the clash with rapt attention. They discovered that the black-robed man's spiritual energy level was indeed at the Surging Spring realm, an utterly astonishing revelation. On a distant warship, the 9 first commanders of the Julie clan emerged from their cabins in single file, gazing out from the deck. Confirming that Yaoyan's bodyguard was truly at the Surging Spring realm, the Julie first commander's mood brightened considerably. He chuckled, impressive. The Yaoli tribe has been hiding its strength well. You either don't act at all, or when you do, you unleash 2 Nine Springs supreme beings. Just who is that kid? How can his combat power be so utterly heaven-defying? The 9 first commanders had gathered to discuss whether to cancel tomorrow's Mangshan Grand Festival, fearing that the 9 tribes' young elites would be hunted down by the demon race and the Sui sect. Such a retreat would be a devastating blow to the Julie clan's prestige, making them the laughingstock of the world. Yet the casualties they would suffer by refusing to back down were equally unbearable. This momentous decision had brought all 9 first commanders together. Though the Yaoli first commander knew nothing of this, he forced himself to maintain a calm facade. The Surging Spring realm is just one factor in combat strength. There's nothing remarkable about it. Perhaps we overestimated the Dharma Fire Ape earlier. Against a true master, it proved quite vulnerable. The Kangli first commander, Li Songolin, retorted, what's there to boast about? If you had such a trump card, you should have revealed it sooner. The Shou first commander added, given this development, we should reconsider whether to cancel the Mangshan Grand Festival. Upon sensing that Li Wei's cultivation truly resided in the Surging Spring realm, the Julie clan elder from the Five Seas realm felt his confidence surge. With a single palm strike, he sent the Tiger Demon flying, then swiftly shifted his stance, executing a grappling technique to seize the Wolf Demon's leg and hurl it violently away. The 2 demons crashed onto the shore, creating massive craters and erupting in furious roars. The Five Seas realm elder stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his demeanor completely transformed. Now radiating arrogance and vigor, he bellowed, still unconvinced. Then fight again. When the Dharma Fire Ape killed R9 Spring's Supreme Being, did we complain? That arrogant ape thought he was invincible across Lijiao, but does he truly believe the Zhuli clan has no one to subdue him? As long as the younger generation proves their worth, which elder wouldn't feel emboldened? A sudden gale swept across the harbor. A thick, pitch-black demon cloud erupted from Yaoguan City and descended upon the docks, its demonic chi enveloping the area for miles. Within the cloud loomed a colossal figure clad in crimson armor, resembling a towering, ape-like mountain tens of meters tall. Countless low-level martial mystic cultivators trembled and knelt under the oppressive aura. Several Zhuli clan first commander shot from their warships like meteors, intercepting the colossal figure. The situation escalated as first commanders from various factions materialized, their bodies radiating Dao radiance and auspicious glows that obscured their features from ordinary martial mystic cultivators. Amidst the towering warships, a small boat drifted forward. Shi Zhoujai stood on the deck, observing the spectacle for a moment before finally speaking. Old friends from Heavenly Cliff Ridge, a word of caution, don't fall for the Zhuli clan's schemes. There's something suspicious about this. An elderly ape among the confronting forces asked, what's suspicious? Shi Zhoujai replied, how could a surging spring realm mortal who appeared out of nowhere possibly be this strong? The Dharma Fire Ape possesses a full silver pure immortal physique with 95 meridians. Li Wei immediately felt over a dozen battle-intent and mental force probes land on him, but he remained unafraid of exposure, clad in a high-grade spiritual artifact-level night cloak. Pointing at Yaoyan, Shi Zhoujai reiterated his warning to the Heavenly Cliff Ridge demon cultivators, that girl's mother is the renowned Yao Qingshan. Surely you understand the implications now. Even the Heavenly Cliff Ridge demon cultivators present were stirred by the mention of Yao Qingshan's name, their memories rekindled by the legendary figure. Shi lay back in the small boat, a blade of foxtail grass between his teeth. Ninth brother, he asked, so what if her mother is Yao Qingshan? What exactly is the Zhuli clan plotting? Shi Zhoujai chuckled, you're too young to remember those times. Yao Qingshan was no ordinary woman. But even more formidable was the great demon lurking behind her, far to the west in the ashlands. The old ape from Heavenly Cliff Ridge suddenly understood everything, his expression shifting. Dharma King Zhoujai, are you saying that the Nine Springs Supreme Being, that young man with his absurdly powerful combat abilities, comes from the ashlands in the west? And the Zhuli clan intends to use Yao Qingshan's daughter to provoke conflict between Heavenly Cliff Ridge and the far western ashlands? Shi Zhoujai scratched his head. The Zhuli clan is no match for Heavenly Cliff Ridge, so they have no choice but to exploit external forces. From what I've heard, this girl vanished for several months recently, only to suddenly reappear today. Within the demon cloud that blanketed several miles, the colossal ape, towering dozens of meters tall, murmured, so she's Yao Qingshan's daughter. The Zhuli clan grows ever more treacherous and ruthless. With those words, the demon cloud receded like a receding tide. The Heavenly Cliff Ridge had no desire to provoke the legendary great demon over the death of a mere surging spring realm cultivator. Such a move would be both unnecessary and detrimental. Li Wei watched the retreating demonic horde from Heavenly Cliff Ridge, his expression thoughtful. He then turned his gaze toward the direction of Shi Zhoujai, only to find the small boat already far away. From the massive warship a dozen meters away, a slender woman dressed as a maid emerged. Her voice, infused with spiritual energy, carried clearly across the distance. My master invites the young man who slew the Dharma Fire Ape to board the ship for a discussion. The maid appeared young, yet her spiritual energy was profound, and her face radiated arrogance. Earlier, it was this mysterious woman on the warship who had accurately discerned Li Wei's cultivation level with a single glance, demonstrating remarkable insight. May I ask the identity of your esteemed master? Li Wei inquired. If you're curious, why not board the ship and see for yourself? The maid replied, with your courage, surely you don't fear this warship is a dragon's lair or a tiger's den. Whoosh. The warship's formation barrier shimmered into existence, instantly illuminating the entire Shui River and the surrounding mountains like a celestial vessel. Its divine radiance sparked speculation about whether immortals resided within. The formation's luminous veil parted, revealing a 3-meter-wide opening, formally extending an invitation. Yaoyan voiced her concern, all factions are converging on Yaoguan City. Our opponent is mysterious and unfathomable, their intentions unclear. I think it's best not to go. If they're truly unfathomable, why would they bother with a surging spring realm martial mystic cultivator like me? Li Wei retorted. Driven by insatiable curiosity and a thirst for exploration, Li Wei stepped onto strands of spiritual energy, ascended the massive warship's hull, and slipped through the array's veil onto the deck. The luminous veil sealed shut, the formation enveloping the entire colossal warship. The attendant appeared remarkably young, barely 20, yet she possessed a pure immortal physique. Only in close proximity could one truly sense her unfathomable depth, her cultivation far surpassed the surging spring realm. Li Wei followed her to the third level of the ship tower, observing the vessel intently, hoping to discern the identity of her master. Miss, with your pure immortal physique, surpassing your peers in beauty, talent, and cultivation, how could you settle for being a mere attendant? Li Wei remarked. The attendant, her expression stern, replied, serving a celestial being is 100 times better than being a mortal martial mystic cultivator. Upon reaching the third floor of the ship tower, the attendant stopped, glanced at Li Wei, and subtly pinched her nose, clearly disdaining his lack of bathing in incense. From within the room, a melodious voice called out, "Can you guess my identity?" I wouldn't have been able to. Li Wei glanced at the attendant, who had retreated 10 paces, and continued, but your aloof, otherworldly demeanor made it obvious. I heard the Phoenix Terrace envoy had arrived in Lizhou to procure supplies for the imperial army. In all the world, only the people of Lingxiao Palace dare to call themselves celestial beings. This was the first time Li Wei had encountered such arrogance, being invited in, yet denied entry. The voice from within the room retorted, if you're so dissatisfied, why didn't you turn around and leave immediately? Thank you, Phoenix Terrace envoy, for sparing me. Li Wei genuinely wanted to leave this place immediately. The heavens were not his domain, so he turned to depart. Swish. The attendant's figure blurred as she teleported before him. A chilling spiritual artifact sword pressed against his neck. Zhuang Yu, sheathe your sword. You must not treat guests this way. The voice from within the room continued, my name is Zhang Ning. You may address me as the Phoenix Terrace envoy. According to the palace mistress's regulations, envoys from the Phoenix Pavilion and Phoenix Terrace cannot share a room with men. This is not out of disrespect for you, sir. The sudden shift in tone from the lofty Phoenix Terrace envoy to such humble courtesy made Li Wei uneasy. Zhuang Yu sheathed her sword and retreated to a distance, glaring at him with a threatening gaze. The voice from within the room spoke directly, the reason I invited you aboard this ship is to request your assistance. In the newly expanded space within Burial Immortal Town, a special area has appeared, a place with inscribed tablets called 33 Li Mountain. Only martial mystic cultivators in the Surging Spring Realm can access its core. I sincerely invite you to cooperate with me in retrieving the treasures within. Li Wei asked, if I refuse, will I be allowed to leave this ship alive? The voice chuckled softly, Lingxiao Palace upholds the righteous path of the court. You are free to leave at any time. But are you certain you wish to forfeit the opportunity to enter 33 Li Mountain? If I don't cooperate with you, I can't enter 33 Li Mountain. Li Wei asked. You can't. The voice inside the room replied, the Zhuli clan lacks the strength to get you into the mountain. They have too many enemies. And very few dare to directly oppose Lingxiao Palace. That doesn't quite ring true, does it? Li Wei countered, it seems the entire world is opposing Lingxiao Palace. If the Phoenix Terrace envoy were truly so confident, this massive warship wouldn't need to be protected by such a powerful great formation. Li Wei excused himself and hurried away, eager to avoid further contact with the people of Lingxiao Palace. He had no desire to become the enemy of the world. As he reached the edge of the lowest deck, about to disembark, a crucial thought struck him. He turned back and bowed deeply. Rest assured, I understand the situation perfectly. I will never reveal the envoy's identity or whereabouts. After disembarking, Li Wei felt a wave of lingering fear. He wanted nothing more than to put as much distance as possible between himself and that ship. What was that all about? He had nearly stumbled into the greatest trouble in the world. Hurrying back to the Yi Banner warship, Li Wei collided with Kangli First Commander Li Songolin, who was standing on the shore, scrutinizing him with a piercing gaze. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Zhuli Insect Valley. Chapter 80 107 Killing Kangli, Plotting the End of an Era. 80th of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The Yao Flag's warship was swarming with Zhuli tribe soldiers, all aberrant humanoids clad in heavy spiritual artifact armor. Each warrior wielded a halberd in one hand, their spirits brimming with vitality, undoubtedly the elite of the army, ready to form battle formations and confront even great cultivators at a moment's notice. The Yao Li first commander, Yao Xingyu, had already boarded the ship and was currently in consultation with Yaoan. Li Songolin deliberately remained below deck, keeping watch over the massive warship. When Li Wei disembarked safely, Li Songolin approached him, immediately piercing through his disguise with a single remark, your disguise technique is still quite crude. Li Wei's heart leapt in alarm. Had he been exposed so easily? He wasn't afraid of Li Songolin's recognition, but rather the numerous eyes on the crowded dock. While revealing his identity was a concern, exposing the true strength of the hidden sect would have unpredictable consequences. Li Songolin maintained his usual lazy, relaxed demeanor as he introduced himself, Kangli First Commander Li Songolin. And you, young brother, what should I call you? Realizing that Li Songolin had only seen through his disguise, Li Wei breathed a sigh of relief. He clasped his hands in a respectful bow and replied, Sima Qin. May I examine your blade? Li Songolin asked. Li Wei handed over his blade, still stained with blood. Li Songolin examined the sword hilt in his hand. This is the Western Border Domain State, the standard battle blade of the Western Sea Slaves, the Numa Cleaver, a spiritual artifact used by their army. 100,000 Western Sea Slaves, a millennium of iron-blooded warriors. As long as the Western Sea Slaves stand, Lingxiao City will never fall. 10 years ago, in the Battle of Kengyuan, the Western Sea Slaves suffered a crushing defeat, losing 30,000 men. The 7 prefectures of the Western Territory plunged into chaos. What do you think of the Yaoli army trained by the Yaoli tribe? Li Wei glanced at the uniform ranks of soldiers clad in identical armor and wielding matching halberds. Comparing them to the eunuch army he had encountered before, he smiled. How dare this junior presume to evaluate the Yaoli army? Speak freely, Li Songolin urged. Li Wei replied, this army is composed entirely of aberrant humanoid martial mystic cultivators, each possessing immense strength and cultivation levels above the 6th spring. Their vitality is abundant, their gaze is sharp, and their aura unified. Their halberds and armor are all spiritual artifacts, a grand undertaking by the Yaoli tribe. But I sense a lack of true battle experience, likely because they haven't seen real combat. Li Wei secretly surmised these were the personal guards of the Yaoli first commander. If they were deployed to Burial Immortal Town, why would the Zhu tribe fear their young elites being hunted? Armies are forbidden from entering Burial Immortal Town. This agreement was reached long ago by all parties. Li Songolin returned the Numa cleaver to Li Wei and asked, do you have any 5C's pills? Li Wei shook his head. Li Songolin produced a pill bottle and handed it to him. The Dharmadao fire ape has brought shame upon the Zhu tribe. Whatever your reasons for that strike, it has at least allowed the younger generation of the Zhu tribe to stand tall again. This is your reward. Li Wei accepted the bottle without ceremony. As he passed Li Songolin, he murmured, fourth uncle, there's nothing to worry about at the Mengshan Grand Festival. Below the 5C's realm, I claim second place, and no one in the world dares claim first. Li Wei spoke these words without altering his voice. Li Songolin's face froze, his eyes blank for a moment before he whirled around to stare at Li Wei, who was already climbing the ship's ladder. He had been anxious, unsure how to address this younger relative, but now his heart swelled with joy. He struggled to maintain a neutral expression, lest those watching from the shadows detect his true feelings. But he couldn't help himself. His concern overriding his restraint, he called out, if you need more 5C's pills, just ask. Li Wei didn't turn back to reply. As soon as he boarded the ship, he encountered Yao Xingyu, who was preparing to disembark. The two exchanged glances and passed each other without a word. The Yaoli first commander was a man of imposing stature, with thick brows, crimson eyes, and a sharply defined nose. He possessed an innate aura of authority that commanded respect without needing to raise his voice, radiating an overwhelming sense of pressure. After disembarking, Yao Xingyu joined Li Songolin and couldn't resist glancing back at the ship. That young man truly has remarkable composure. He dared to scrutinize me as he disembarked. Am I, a renowned first commander who has commanded respect across Li Prefecture for decades, lacking even a hint of presence? Li Songolin chuckled, feeling a bit slighted. Expecting young upstarts to bow and scrape before you. Such timid youths will never amount to anything. I just find him unsettlingly peculiar, Yao Xingyu insisted. I'd love to break his disguise technique and see his true face. He must possess a pure immortal physique. Li Songolin, determined to keep the secret to himself, cautioned him sternly, don't act rashly. We still need their help for the Mengshan Grand Festival. With him here, I can rest assured. The thought of Li Wei growing close to Yao Yan suddenly filled Li Songolin with unease. She was Yao Qingshan's daughter, still young and yet to blossom. In a few years, she might become another peerless beauty of Li Prefecture. What will become of Li Ling? The Yaoli army remained stationed, tasked with protecting Li Wei and his companions. Li Wei entered the ship's main hall and was astonished to find that Yin Shi Wu's injuries had healed significantly. He learned that the Yaoli first commander himself had personally treated the Hidden One's wounds, a privilege that would make any surging Spring Realm cultivator green with envy. So he's the Yaoli first commander, Li Wei remarked, no wonder his aura was so overwhelming. It felt like a sacred mountain was passing by me, I nearly lost my composure. Yao Yan added, he's also the father of Yin Shi and me. Li Wei was taken aback. Yin Shi isn't his biological child either. Of course she is, Yao Yan replied. But if she's the first commander's biological daughter, why would she be sent to the hidden sect's death trial? Li Wei asked. First, Yao Yan explained, before entering the hidden sect, no one knew that the death trial would be so brutal that only one could survive. Second, not everyone qualifies for the death trial. As far as I know, half of the hidden ones come from the direct lineages of the 9 tribes. Entering the hidden sect represents a heavy responsibility, not a privilege. In my opinion, Li Wei said, few clan first commanders truly see the hidden sect as the Zhu Li tribe's final line of defense. During the tribe's darkest and most humiliating years, the hidden sect remained silent. The clan first commander select youths for the hidden sect each year primarily to preserve the tribe's legacy, hiding its embers in the shadows. Of course, joining the hidden sect requires severing all ties to the past. Contact with family is strictly forbidden except in extraordinary circumstances. Even then, no information about the hidden sect can ever be revealed. The death trial serves to weed out those who cannot keep secrets. Li Wei turned to Yaoyan. The Yao Li first commander was here for tomorrow's Mengshan Grand Festival, wasn't he? Yaoyan nodded slightly. I agreed, as it's part of our mission. But I made a demand. He must provide us with at least 50 spring-breaking needles, 20 radiant flame pills, and 10 blood crystals. You're truly greedy. Though, to be fair, 10 blood crystals are too few. Li Wei chuckled, his mood brightening considerably. He retrieved a wooden box containing a rare medicine imbued with immortal haze. This rare medicine is rich in immortal haze but lacks spatial resonance. It should aid martial mystic cultivators in transforming their physiques into pure immortal physiques. Yin or Shi Wu, you managed to acquire an otherworldly coffin, you must be quite wealthy. Want to buy it? An otherworldly coffin costs at least tens of thousands of silver coins, hardly cheap. Yaoyan asked, why aren't you transforming your own physique? Yin or Shi Wu snatched the wooden box away, he's already monstrously powerful. How could a pure immortal physique compare? He must possess some legendary special constitution. I need this rare medicine far more. 1 million silver coins, Li Wei stated. Yin or Shi Wu nearly dropped the wooden box. Where would he ever get that much money? Isn't this just daylight robbery? As far as I know, since the cataclysm in Burial Immortal Town, fewer than 100 rare medicines capable of helping martial mystic cultivators transform their pure immortal physiques have been discovered. They're incredibly precious. If you don't want it, someone else will. Yin or Shi Si has already ordered 3 from me at this price, Li Wei said, preparing to take the box back. Yin or Shi Wu quickly tucked the wooden box into his robes. I'll buy it. I'll pay 30% upfront and owe the remaining 70%. How about that? This is all the money I have left, I've emptied my coffers. Li Wei sighed. Fine. You all always want to buy on credit. You won't take 30 years to pay it off, will you? Not at all. Once I break through to the 5 Seas realm, I'll earn plenty in a year, Yin or Shi Wu said confidently. Li Wei replied, if I weren't heading to Burial Immortal Town and wanted to focus on cultivation, I wouldn't sell it. I need to train you all to handle things first. Let's be clear, all rare medicines you gather must be handed over to me first. As the expedition leader, I'm responsible for bringing them back to the hidden sect. Yin or Shi Wu grumbled inwardly, you casually swing your sword and earn 1 million silver coins, even Dao Seed Realm cultivators can't match that. And you're bringing them back to the hidden sect. Didn't you say Yin or Shi Si already ordered 3? But then he remembered that if Li Wei hadn't intervened, he would have died at the hands of the Dharma Dao fire ape. His mood finally balanced out. Someone from the far western ashlands. Yang Qingxi's willow leaf brows furrowed slightly upon hearing the news, unsure how to proceed. The messenger was Yang Yun, who had broken through to the Nine Springs realm with the aid of the Crimson Haze elixir. He reported, Sister, this person is incredibly powerful. He killed the Dharma Dao fire ape with a single strike. The first commander noticed he used the disguise technique, suggesting he might possess 100 meridians pure silver immortal physique. We should exercise extreme caution tomorrow. Yang Qingxi murmured to herself, if the first commander personally confirmed it, then he must indeed be a surging spring realm anomaly. Deep within the courtyard, where autumn begonias bloomed in profusion, Long Ting, the dragon sect's successor, sat by the pond, his body wreathed in dragon scale radiance. His voice was calm yet resolute. If he's this strong in the surging spring realm, we can't let him live. Deploy 5 Seas realm experts immediately to eliminate him in Burial Immortal Town. Yang Yun, who could see the dragon scale radiance rising above the courtyard buildings, added, the 6th generation descendant wants to test his strength. Deeper in the courtyard, beneath a 1,000-year-old purple tree, the 4-armed golden ape spoke in a deep voice, tell him to act cautiously and avoid impulsive decisions. Even if he insists on testing his strength, he must have a 5 Seas realm expert standing by. Chen Wenwu, the foremost young talent of the San Chen Palace, stood atop the towering structure, his figure striking and elegant. A mere surging spring realm cultivator. He declared with casual disdain, each faction should dispatch a 5 Seas realm expert to crush him like an ant. We mustn't waste time on such trivialities. Our true target remains Kang Li. Yang Qingxi retreated deeper into the courtyard, her voice clear and refined as she addressed the dozen or so figures gathered there. To be precise, we're targeting all 5 Seas realm and surging spring realm cultivators among the Zhu Li tribe's younger generation. This battle aims to sever their lineage and force the so-called Zhu Li hidden sect into the open. Or, perhaps, to provoke the Zhu Li tribe into making the first move, revealing the full extent of their hidden reserves. Beyond the elite young talents from Dragon Sect, Heavenly Cliff Ridge, Sui Sect, and the San Chen Palace, experts from Tianyi Sect, Coffin Sea Pavilion, Li City, Guanshan, the Earth Wolf King's army, and over a dozen other top-tier factions had gathered for this clandestine meeting. Faced with the prospect of immense gains, every faction sought their share of the spoils. Long Ting sat composed and graceful, his handsome features radiating an air of refined elegance. He smiled. Kang Li's demise is assured. But what of the Phoenix Terrace envoy? Does anyone here have the courage to eliminate her as well? Killing her would truly shake the world. His words sparked a mix of eager anticipation and trepidation among the assembled experts. Blank. End of chapter. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 81, 108 Barren Land. 81st of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. As night fell, the banks of the Shui River blazed with light. On the riverboats, music and dance filled the air, the melodies of silk and bamboo instruments drifting across the water. The Zhu Li tribe worked with remarkable efficiency. In less than 2 hours, they had gathered all the cultivation resources Yaoyan had requested, which Li Songgolin personally delivered to the ship. Li Wei dismissed Yaoyan. Once only he and Li Songgolin remained in the cabin, Li Wei bowed deeply and addressed him solemnly, "Fourth uncle." For Li Songgolin to personally deliver these resources, he must have something private to discuss. The situation earlier in the day had made it impossible to speak freely. Wei, I'm ashamed to be called fourth uncle, Li Songgolin said, his face etched with bitterness and shame. I promised to protect your senior brother and the others, but disaster still struck. Li Wei's expression darkened. What happened to my senior brother? Don't worry yet, Li Songgolin reassured him. The problem lies within the Kang Li clan itself. Li Songgolin then recounted the events. The trouble began when Li Changfeng, the son of Li Songgolin's elder brother Li Songjian, discovered that Kai Yutong possessed a pure immortal physique. After his advances were rebuffed, he pressured his parents to force a marriage, but Li Songgolin intervened and blocked the arrangement. Li Changfeng, naturally unwilling to give up, persisted in his harassment. During one particularly heated confrontation, Zhao Meng finally lost his temper and clashed with him. As an Eight Springs martial mystic cultivator, Li Changfeng was far beyond Zhao Meng's capabilities, leaving him severely injured. At this point in the story, Li Songgolin said, Zhao Meng has fully recovered from his injuries. However, after leaving this letter, he chose to leave. Fourth uncle truly couldn't face you. Li Wei took the letter from Li Songgolin and opened it, immediately recognizing his senior brother's handwriting. The letter was addressed to him. Wei, senior brother doesn't want to live under someone else's roof anymore. I'm going to find eldest senior sister. Don't blame fourth uncle or Li Ling, they're good people, but the Li clan is too vast, and the Zhu Li Dao Academy is a mixed bag. Staying here is stifling. Everyone has their own path. Don't worry about me. Ever since I left the sect, I've been surviving on my own. Senior brother doesn't rely on anyone. From now on, I'll not only make a name for myself but also stand tall and proud. Just wait and see. One day, on a clear, moonlit night, you might look up and see eldest senior sister and me on the rooftop, come to share a drink with you. Oh, right, you don't drink. But you will. When you're older, you'll understand that there's always more unhappiness than happiness in this world. It's almost dawn. I'll stop writing here. Li Wei reread the letter and silently closed it. How is senior sister Kai doing? I'm certain Li Changfeng won't dare bother her again, Li Songgolin replied, having already taught him a lesson. Actually, the Yang clan is behind this. They're using Kai Yutong and Zhao Meng as bait to draw you out. Li Changfeng's mother, my eldest sister-in-law, is a Yang. Yang Qingxi would have to call her, auntie. Uninterested in the Kang Li clan's tangled relations with the Yang clan, Li Wei simply asked, fourth uncle, if I kill Li Changfeng, would you hate me? Li Songgolin had long been exasperated by that family, but his ties to his own brother had always restrained him. It was their relentless demands for the Crimson Haze elixir in Yaoguan City that had driven Li Wei away in the first place. This is your personal feud, Li Songgolin said. However, Li Changfeng has already achieved a breakthrough to the Five Seas realm, and he might just be a pawn to lure you out. Don't underestimate Yang Qingxi. Among the younger generation in Li Prefecture, her strength ranks among the top 5, and her cunning is unmatched. The night passed without incident. At dawn the next day, the Yao Li tribe provided each of the three with a sturdy horse. They galloped along the Shui River toward Burial Immortal Town. Before long, they caught up with the hundreds of young cultivators from the Zhu Li tribe. The number of participants in the Mangshan Grand Festival was fixed, 30 from each of the 9 tribes, totaling 270. All were martial mystic cultivators and spiritual masters in their late teens, at the surging Spring Realm. A significant number possessed pure immortal physiques, representing the absolute elite of their generation. In addition, a large group of 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators and great spiritual masters, led by Kang Li, escorted the group along the way. The 9 tribe first commanders brought up the rear. Li Wei and his companions trailed several hundred feet behind the main force, keeping their distance. Before the anomalies struck Burial Immortal Town, the journey from Yaoguan City was 300 miles. After traveling 200 miles, the immortal haze in the air grew so dense it obscured their vision. Li Wei, who had been practicing his breathing technique continuously, noticed the law of the world becoming unusually active. This heightened activity even began to disrupt the flow of spiritual power within their bodies. After exchanging a few words with Kang Li and the others, the 9 first commanders came to a halt. Li Wei, Yaoyan, and Yin Shi Wu, puzzled by the sudden stop, rode their horses up to the 9 first commanders. Li Songolin explained, a formation resembling the 9 palaces and 8 trigrams has appeared around Burial Immortal Town. The energy varies drastically across different directions and regions. At our current cultivation level, we can't proceed any further along this path. If we push on, our spiritual power will become chaotic and uncontrollable, risking a fatal explosion of our bodies, added the Shou Li first commander. The Kang Li first commander warned, the river route ahead is far from peaceful. We may encounter dead spirits, malevolent demons, and fierce insects. Don't be intimidated. If you find any crimson haze elixir, be sure to gather it. Ha ha ha. The Kai Li armor captain chuckled. Yao Xingyu turned to Yaoyan, urging, don't be reckless. Prioritize your safety. If you encounter danger, retreat immediately. The 9 of us will remain here to provide support. After parting ways with the 9 first commanders, they traveled another 100 li. Why is it getting hotter? Yin Shi Wu asked. Yaoyan replied, the vegetation is thinning out too. Far from the river, the ground is already cracked and dry. Something's wrong. Li Wei, who had been calculating the distance, pointed out, I've walked this route from Yaoguan City to Burial Immortal Town before. We should have arrived by now, after a full day's travel. Yet we haven't even seen a hint of the town. They pressed on for several more li, the heat intensifying. Vegetation vanished entirely, the earth turning crimson. The wide river began to boil, its depths flowing with a golden, magma-like substance that emitted thick, obscuring steam. The main force of Yangzhou Li tribe cultivators, just 10 zhang away, became completely invisible, their presence only discernible by the sounds of their mounts. Kang Li, riding his Zhuwu exotic beast, suddenly halted. On either side of the path ahead stood colossal stone statues, each several meters tall, with massive heads and prominent noses. The sight was eerie and terrifying in the dense mist. These stone statues marked the boundary beyond which cultivators of the 5 Seas realm could not pass. Kang Li raised his voice, this path is impassable for those in the 5 Seas realm. Crossing the stone statues will cause your bodies to spontaneously combust. However, those below the 5 Seas realm may proceed. Martial mystic cultivators participating in the Mangshan Grand Festival, this is your path. Remember, this trial is extremely dangerous. Don't focus solely on gathering medicinal herbs, and above all, avoid infighting. Rankings are secondary, survival is paramount. Beware not only the fallen spirit fiends but also human martial mystic cultivators, they pose the greatest threat. Now, go. Within moments, all the Yangzhou Li tribe martial mystic cultivators participating in the Mangshan Grand Festival had passed between the 2 colossal stone statues, gradually disappearing into the mist. Kang Li continued, surging spring realm cultivators, follow the river. 5 Seas realm cultivators, ascend the mountain. Take the mountain path to Burial Immortal Town, gathering medicinal herbs along the way, and prioritize your safety. Li Ling, stay behind and accompany me. The 5 Seas realm experts of the Zhu Li tribe were already struggling, their spiritual qi burning within them, their bodies on the verge of exploding. Only those in the first stage of the 5 Seas realm fared slightly better. The higher one's cultivation level, the greater the impact of the scorching cosmic energy on their spiritual qi and mental power. They swiftly began their ascent up the mountain. At the crossroads, only Kang Li, riding his Zhuwu exotic beast, and Li Ling, astride her fire fox exotic beast, remained, their eyes fixed on Li Wei, Yaoyan, and Yin Shi Wu as they slowly approached on horseback. After months of cultivation, Li Ling's progress had been astonishingly rapid. Her spiritual power cultivation had already reached the square-foot heavenly fire realm, far exceeding all expectations and causing a significant stir within the Zhu Li Divine Hall. She still carried her ancient bronze lantern, which emitted an ethereal blue glow, and wore 9 silver bracelets on her wrist. Her snow-white feet dangled from the fire fox exotic beast's belly, her delicate toes gleaming like polished jade. She radiated an otherworldly aura, like a fire spirit imbued with ancient mysteries. Kang Li, fully aware of the identities and capabilities of the approaching trio, warned, do not underestimate your enemies. They have gathered forces from multiple factions, led by Heavenly Cliff Ridge and the Sui sect, like ravenous wolves eager to devour the Zhuli tribe. Among them are over 10 Nine Springs Supremes, most of whom have opened their ancestral fields using the Crimson Haze elixir. I anticipate they will carry mid-grade spiritual artifacts. The enemy is far more formidable than you imagine. I won't waste time with unnecessary words. I entrust the 270 elite young talents of the Zhuli tribe participating in the Mangshan Grand Festival to you three. Kang Li is eternally grateful. Kang Li clasped his hands in a fist and bowed respectfully to the three. Li Ling's sweet, melodious voice rang out, especially protect Yaoyan, she's young and possesses an immortal physique and jade-like beauty. Many might covet her. Yaoyan, you must be extra vigilant. Li Wei glanced at Li Ling, his gaze colliding with her lively eyes. He immediately sensed a powerful surge of spiritual power emanating from her. Thank you for your concern, Sister Li Ling, Yaoyan replied. Yaoyan then asked, did the enemy set out ahead of us, or are they trailing behind? Kang Li explained, they originally planned to ambush us along the way by departing early. However, I had an informant among them and received word last night. We adjusted our departure time accordingly and should now be ahead of them. The trial lasts 9 days. I'll return here to rendezvous with you on the 9th day. After Kang Li and Li Ling ascended the mountain and departed, Yin'er Shiwu remarked, Kang Li is quite capable. Someone being groomed as a successor wouldn't have any weaknesses. His intellect and cultivation are both top tier, Li Wei observed. Yaoyan glanced at the two colossal stone figures looming through the mist. Let's go. We need to catch up. Li Wei nodded. Some say Yang Qingxi's cunning ranks first among the younger generation in Li Prefecture. If I were her, I wouldn't have anticipated Kang Li's actions. I suspect a master strategist is already lying in wait ahead. It wouldn't surprise me if she's even bribed some of the young martial mystic cultivators participating in the Mangshan Grand Festival. As soon as he spoke, a Zhuli tribe martial mystic cultivator's agonized scream echoed through the mist ahead. Yaoyan and Yin'er Shiwu exchanged alarmed glances and spurred their horses past the stone figures, galloping forward. Clop. Clop. Li Wei's sturdy steed moved at a steady pace, neither hurrying nor lagging, until it stopped beside the stone figures. He dismounted and observed the scene for a moment. Channeling his full spiritual power, he struck one of the stone figures with a palm strike, sending it crashing to the ground. He then meticulously examined the ground that had been crushed beneath the fallen statue. Li Wei chuckled, just as I suspected, recently moved. How intriguing. The true boundary of the Five Seas realm must lie further ahead. Yang Qingxi hasn't disappointed me, she's a worthy opponent who ignites my fighting spirit. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Zhuli Insect Valley. Chapter 82, 109, Slaying the 6th Generation Great-Grandson of the Demon King. 82nd of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Clang. Li Wei drew the Numa cleaver, discarded its sheath, and strode past the giant stone statue, following the boiling riverbank toward the area where figures flickered through the mist. Boom. Rumble. Dozens of streams of spiritual chi clashed and intertwined within the mist, creating a deafening cacophony of battle. 3 corpses lay sprawled on the ground, clad in the uniform martial attire of the Qingli tribe, 2 young men and a young woman, all no older than 14 or 15. 2 Nine Springs Supreme cultivators from the Zhuli clan, along with over 20 young martial mystic cultivators at the 8th and 7th spring levels, were locked in fierce combat with their attackers. Warriors fell into pools of blood with alarming regularity, the scene exceptionally brutal. No one had anticipated such a sudden assault. They had only just separated from the Five Seas realm cultivators of their clan. Yaoyan and Yin'er Shiwu had already joined the fray, each facing a Nine Springs Supreme cultivator, Yaoyan against Yang Yun of the Sui sect, and Yin'er Shiwu against Huo Zanbai of the Sanchen Palace. The Zhuli clan's Five Seas realm cultivators haven't gone far, Yaoyan warned. If they return, you'll pay dearly. Yang Yun, his arrogance undiminished, chuckled. You can't possibly believe that our 4 great sects united merely to hunt down the Zhuli clan's young sprouts participating in the Mangshan Grand Festival, can you? The Five Seas realm is the true battlefield. Hearing this, the young Zhuli cultivators felt a chill run through their hearts, replaced by a growing sense of despair. The Sui sect, Sanchen Palace, Tianyi sect, and Coffin Sea Pavilion, former vassals and slaves of the Zhuli clan, had clearly come to slaughter them all, aiming to wipe out an entire generation of the Zhuli clan. The 6th generation great-grandson of the Demon King stood over 5 meters tall, his massive frame towering over the parched, scorching riverbank. His 4 arms, each as thick as a pillar, were covered in dense, bronze-colored fur. 2 foot long, razor-sharp fangs protruded from his mouth, and his domineering gaze swept down at Li Wei, who was rapidly approaching. His voice boomed like thunder. I heard you can kill a Darmadao fire ape with a single strike. This lord doesn't believe it. I'll weigh your metal myself. Li Wei glanced at the battlefield behind the Demon King's descendant, recognizing the dire situation. He wasted no time on idle chatter. He sprinted forward, accelerating to full speed. Closing the distance to within 6 meters, he unleashed his spiritual chi, his body glowing like a lit lantern. With a spring of his feet, he leapt into the air, the new Ma cleaver drawing a wide, golden arc as he brought it down in a head-on strike. Though the Demon King's descendant spoke with contempt, he remained inwardly cautious. His 2 front arms seized the copper pillars, spiritual artifacts weighing 3,000 catties each, and swung them upward to meet the attack. Born with the Demon King's bloodline, he possessed innate divine strength. Even before cultivating human laws, he could lift 1,000 catty cauldron. From childhood, he had dominated the southern territory, never encountering a worthy opponent within his realm. Now, with the supreme cultivation of his 100 silver veins pure immortal physique, he refused to believe he could be defeated by anyone in the Spring Surge realm. This conviction fueled his willingness to fight, even knowing someone had slain a Dharma Dao fire ape with a single strike. He held an unwavering belief in his own invincibility. Boom. A direct clash. The metallic clang reverberated like the striking of a 1,000-year-old bronze bell, its sonic waves spreading outward in all directions. The 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King felt the force of the strike like a mountain crashing down upon him. His arms strained to support the weight, his internal organs quivered violently, and he staggered back 5 steps before barely regaining his footing. Each step left a massive, deep footprint in the ground. The 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King's invincible belief shattered with that single strike. He couldn't accept that his opponent was merely at the Spring Surge realm. His physical body alone could wield the 5 Seas pillar, and he possessed the 100 silver veins pure immortal physique. Yet the very strength he prided himself on had been utterly defeated in a head-on collision. This proved that the Dharma Dao fire ape hadn't lost due to underestimating his opponent or flawed tactics, but because he had been completely and utterly outmatched. The 2 5 Seas realm aberrant humanoids guarding the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King, one from the Tianyi sect and the other from the Coffin Sea Pavilion, stood 20 zhang away. After witnessing the strike, their nerves tightened, and they secretly began circulating their spiritual chi. Li Wei, unusually, didn't press his advantage. Stunned by the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King's terrifying combat prowess, he exclaimed in disbelief, "Impressive. You actually withstood my strike and retreated unscathed. Even Yang Shenjing at your age would have been slightly inferior." The 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King felt utterly humiliated. With a furious roar, he channeled all the spiritual chi from his ancestral field into the bull-thick copper pillar in his hand. This 3,000 catty copper pillar was a mid-grade spiritual artifact, its power far surpassing that of low-grade artifacts. With each swing, the surrounding air churned violently. Li Wei executed a series of footwork techniques, his figure shifting rapidly. In an instant, 3 distinct images of Li Wei appeared, each striking a different pose as they converged. The third figure leapt into the air, positioning itself above and to the left of the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King. With a horizontal slash, he aimed for the demon's neck. "So what if you're fast? I have 4 arms." The 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King used his front 2 arms for offense and his rear 2 for defense. In his defensive arms, he wielded hammer-shaped spiritual artifacts, attempting to block Li Wei's new Ma cleaver. Bang! The moment they collided, the hammer-shaped artifacts were sent flying, unable to withstand the immense force behind Li Wei's blade. The blade grazed the demon's pillar-thick arm, sending a torrent of blood spraying into the air. The 2 5 Seas realm cultivators from the Tianyi sect and Coffin Sea Pavilion exchanged glances. Though they hadn't heard the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King's agreed-upon signal for help, they knew they couldn't wait any longer. If this man dared to kill the Dharma Dao fire ape, who could guarantee he wouldn't kill the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King as well? One of the 2 was a ravenoid aberrant humanoid in the 5 Seas realm. He spread his wings and soared into the air, knocking an arrow to his bow. As he drew back the string, bright spiritual chi rippled outward in a circle spanning dozens of zhang in diameter. "How dare you harm the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King? You have some nerve." The other 5 Seas realm cultivator was a leopard-like aberrant humanoid, possessing speed far surpassing others at his level. As he charged forward, spiritual chi erupted around him, creating a powerful windstorm. In a single breath, he could reach the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King. In this life-or-death battle, Li Wei wouldn't be intimidated by a mere threat, nor would he give the enemy a chance to rescue the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King. "First, I'll sever the 100 silver veins pure immortal physique. Then, I'll defy the odds and slay a 5 Seas realm cultivator, forging my martial Dao legend." Li Wei unleashed the heavenly Dao and law harmony level, Tai opens the sea. The new Ma cleaver in his hand erupted with golden light, radiating a primordial, world-splitting aura. He didn't fear revealing his true identity. For he was wielding a battle blade to execute sword techniques. Using a blade to open the sea made the strike even more domineering and ferocious. At that moment, Li Weiyi's battle intent and unwavering resolve were such that, regardless of whether his opponent was the sixth-generation great-grandson of the Demon King or even a immortal realm, he would cleave them in two without hesitation to achieve perfect clarity of mind. Boom! Li Weiyi's feet slammed into the ground, shattering the Numa cleaver. Across from him, the sixth-generation great-grandson of the Demon King had only managed to raise its copper pillar halfway, utterly failing to block the strike. It lowered its head to stare at its chest, where a meter-long gash had been cleaved through its spiritual artifact armor, the broken blade lodged deep within its abdomen. Li Weiyi's strike had sliced from the right side of its neck down to its abdominal cavity. The blade's energy tore through all his internal organs. Cough. The sixth-generation great-grandson of the Demon King, his copper bell-sized eyes wide with terror, watched as a meter-long bloody gash burst open from his abdomen to his shoulder. His blood-mud-like organs spilled onto the ground as his massive body toppled backward, shaking the earth. The leopard-like aberrant humanoids charging to his rescue froze in shock at the sight. Who could have imagined that someone would dare kill the sixth-generation great-grandson of the Demon King? At the same level, he would be slain by just 3 strikes. Even if the news spread throughout the southern territory, no one would believe it. Bang! A ravenoid aberrant humanoid in the 5 Seas realm fired a spiritual artifact arrow, its tail trailing a meter-long arc of electricity like a bolt of lightning, straight at Li Weiyi. Locked on and unable to evade, Li Weiyi swung his broken blade to block. Boom! The blade and arrow collided. The broken blade's spiritual artifact structure had been compromised, it shattered under the impact, its fragments scattering like shrapnel. A shard grazed Li Weiyi's cheek, leaving a thin trail of blood. The spiritual artifact arrowhead also exploded into iron dust, transforming into a bright shower of sparks. Good, very good. Finally, a chance to test myself against a 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator. Li Weiyi glanced at the winged 5 Seas realm figure hovering in the air, his heart devoid of fear. Instead, his blood boiled with battle intent. Facing the charging leopard-like aberrant humanoid in the 5 Seas realm, he neither retreated nor evaded, but charged straight into the fray. Defying the odds, he struck upward, his surging spring realm clashing against the 5 Seas. The absolute power gap between realms was erased by his palms and shattered beneath his feet. Spiritual all-power surged through his 108 meridian veins. Li Weiyi unleashed a palm strike, transforming his spiritual chi into a formidable force. Dare to kill the 6th-generation great-grandson of the Demon King. No one in Li province can save you now. The leopard-like aberrant humanoid martial cultivator rose to his full height, his chi glowing as if ablaze. His spiritual chi, superior in grade to Li Weiyi's, tore through the palm wind as their powers collided directly. Boom! This leopard-like aberrant humanoid was no ordinary foe, having achieved the 8th spring-breaking 5 Seas. Yet in this initial clash, he found himself evenly matched against the Spring Surge realm martial mystic cultivator. The leopard-like aberrant humanoid was inwardly shaken, suspecting the local environment was suppressing 5 Seas realm cultivators, hindering his spiritual chi flow and causing this unexpected stalemate. He roared, "This brat possesses combat power at the 5 Seas realm level. Assist me with your arrows and end this quickly." Aberrant humanoids inherently possessed greater combat prowess than mortals of the same realm. Facing 2 opponents across a major realm gap, Li Weiyi dared not underestimate them. He activated his high-grade spiritual artifact, the Nightwalker's Garment, using spiritual chi to amplify his speed and vanish into invisibility. This concealment couldn't fool the 5 Seas realm cultivator's hearing or battle technique intent, but it would slow his reaction time and sow hesitation. Simultaneously, it would make it harder for the ravenoid aberrant humanoid archer to lock onto him from afar. Along the riverbank, the earth stretched out in a barren expanse of crimson, devoid of vegetation, resembling a desolate desert. Whoosh! Near 2 colossal stone figures, one standing upright and the other fallen, the air in white mist trembled. Runes materialized in mid-air, glowing with ethereal light. From within the runes emerged a breathtakingly beautiful figure, her movements graceful and otherworldly. White feathers of spiritual chi swirled around her, while a pair of massive, luminous wings floated in the void behind her. Deeper in the void, a magnificent palace complex loomed, its grandeur and majesty overwhelming. Zhang Ning, veiled like a feather immortal, radiated an ethereal beauty. Her spiritual chi energy shifted unpredictably, each white feather drifting through the air like a true celestial plume. Zhuang Yu, a pure immortal physique at the 5 Seas realm, followed behind her, sword strapped to her back. Though Zhuang Yu was already remarkably powerful and stunningly beautiful, and wore no maidservant's attire today, standing beside Zhang Ning made her seem ordinary, even her pure immortal physique appearing as mundane as a mortal's. They gazed toward the distant battlefield where fierce combat raged. Blank. End of chapter. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 83, 110, Slaying the Five Seas, Executing the Nine Springs. 83rd of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The mist had been dispersed from the riverbank area. Most striking were the layers of formation woven light veils conjured by the 200-plus young martial mystic cultivators of the Julie tribe, who were activating formation scripts. They retreated slowly, but were blocked by two powerful cultivators from the Five Seas realm. One of them was Wang Daojun, one of the three great young masters of the Wang clan of the Sui sect. Wielding a 10-foot-long formation cracking whip, each lash sent thunderous booms echoing through the air. Boom, boom. The whip struck the formation woven light veils, tearing long, fiery fissures through them. Though the fissures quickly sealed, the relentless attacks meant the formation's collapse was only a matter of time. Zhuang Yu's gaze fell upon the massive corpse of the four-armed ape on the ground, her eyes widening in shock. The sixth-generation descendant of the Four Extremes Ape King. Its physique is astonishing, possessing innate divine strength. Even without cultivating human cultivation methods, by this age, its combat prowess would rival that of an ordinary Nine Springs paragon. Moreover, it had the 100 Meridians pure silver immortal physique. How could Sima Qin have slain it so easily? If he could cleave through the Dharma Dao fire ape with a single strike, killing that ape king's cub would merely require a few more blows. Nothing remarkable about that. Zhang Ning's starry eyes remained as calm as a deep pool as she continued in her melodious voice. His decisive slaying of the ape king's cub was quite unexpected. He must possess genuine confidence, unafraid of provoking the demon king. Zhuang Yu, would you dare kill the demon king's sixth-generation descendant? Zhuang Yu replied, the demon king has many sixth-generation descendants, but only one with the 100 silver meridians. In Li Prefecture, I would hesitate, unable to act so decisively. But in the 10 central provinces, it wouldn't matter. If even you wouldn't dare, what is the source of his confidence? Zhang Ning asked. Perhaps he's just a reckless fool, Zhuang Yu suggested. Based on his behavior on the ship, do you think he's the reckless type? Zhang Ning's gaze remained fixed on the shadowy figure currently battling two Five Seas realm cultivators. Even the concealment provided by the high-grade spiritual all artifact, the Nightwalker's garment, couldn't evade her keen spiritual eyes. Zhang Ning said, this is an excellent opportunity to recruit him. If he's overwhelmed, intervene to save him. I must have this man. He's the only one who can conquer the 33 Li Mountain. She didn't believe that Li Wei, a cultivator in the surging spring realm, possessed the ability to break through the current predicament. Overcoming such a vast cultivation gap was no easy feat, and the Five Seas realm cultivators before them were no pushovers. The Pantherkin martial mystic cultivator from the Coffin Sea Pavilion was at the first stage of the Five Seas realm. Clearly, his cultivation level didn't grant him access to the Coffin Sea Pavilion's inner secrets. As a result, every claw technique he unleashed was ruthlessly aimed at killing Li Wei. After activating his invisibility, Li Wei gained the upper hand, forcing the Pantherkin martial mystic cultivator into a desperate retreat. The speed enhancement from his high-grade spiritual all artifact made the Five Seas realm Pantherkin no match. Li Wei quickly landed two palm strikes, each far heavier than the Pantherkin had imagined, causing blood to gush from his mouth and nose. Whoosh! An arrow of lightning forced Li Wei back. The Pantherkin martial mystic cultivators finally caught his breath and roared, he's wearing high-grade spiritual all artifact armor. It enhances his defense and speed, and grants invisibility. I can't defeat him. Where's the great Spiri Six Master? Break his invisibility now. The Sui sect great spiritual master, who had been observing from the riverbank, joined forces with an insect tamer from San Chen Palace. I'll illuminate his invisibility, the short, stout great spiritual master said with a smile. From the third eye spiritual realm between his brows, a blinding light erupted, launching 6 talismanic runes into the air. Guided by spiritual power, the talismanic runes flew toward Li Wei's approximate location from 6 different directions. Boom! The first rune exploded, its spiritual light illuminating the surrounding miles and lingering for an extended period. The invisible Li Wei was immediately revealed within the spiritual light, his humanoid silhouette now visible, leaving him with nowhere to hide. Whoosh! The Raven Aberrant locked onto Li Wei with his battle intent and fired an arrow of lightning. Simultaneously, he swooped down, sheathed his war bow, drew a 2-foot short sword, and charged into the fray. Using the speed granted by his high-grade spiritual all artifact, the Nightwalker's garment, Li Wei stepped on streaks of light trails, broke free from the lock, and evaded the lethal arrow. Then, he reached out his bare hand into the void. He intended to catch the Raven Aberrant's slashing spiritual artifact short sword with his bare hand. You're utterly ignorant. Even a second-stage cultivator of the Five Seas realm wouldn't dare catch a sword with their bare hand. Sizzle. The Raven Aberrant channeled spiritual chi from his chi-si, causing the short sword to burst into flames. Li Weiyi's right arm and hand blurred into a phantom, as if countless hands were reaching out simultaneously. He was executing the Chan sect's 12 dispersed hands technique, spirit treasure seizing hand, now refined to the heavenly Tao and law harmony level. The Raven Aberrant martial mystic cultivator's short sword was snatched away in an instant. As the Raven Aberrant stood in stunned confusion, Li Weiyi swung the sword backhand in a swift, decisive strike. Thwack! The blade fell. In a single exchange, the 5 Seas Realm Raven Aberrant expert's head was severed and sent flying. The headless corpse, adorned with a pair of broad black wings, crashed heavily to the ground. The Pantherkin martial mystic cultivator, also at the 5 Seas Realm, watched in horror. He realized that Li Weiyi was even more formidable with a sword than with his blade. Li Weiyi pursued the Pantherkin martial mystic cultivator, short sword in hand, while simultaneously scanning the battlefield with sharp eyes, maintaining a comprehensive overview of the situation. The most dangerous area was undoubtedly where Yaoyan and Yinershiwu were fighting. Their enemies were all 9 Springs Supremes, including some with pure immortal physiques. The Zhu tribe had already lost 5 or 6 7 Springs and 8 Springs martial mystic cultivators. At this point, Li Weiyi could no longer afford to conceal his identity. He retrieved an insect tube from beneath his Nightwalker's garment and released the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors inside. 3 of them attacked the Pantherkin martial mystic cultivator. The remaining 4 swarmed toward the Sui sect great spiritual master near the riverbank. Li Weiyi finally freed himself and charged toward the group of 9 Springs Supremes. Su Yunqing, a 9 Springs Supreme from Tianyi sect, was in her early 20s. Though not a pure immortal physique, she possessed peerless beauty among mortals and a voluptuous figure that surpassed even young women like Li Ling and Yaoyan. Channeling her ancestral field spiritual energy, she swung her battle sword with all her might to parry Li Weiyi's incoming dagger. Bang! The battle sword flew from Su Yunqing's hand. Blood gushed from her palm, where she had gripped the sword. Her face drained of color as she retreated in terror, finally understanding the true terror of a man who could slay the Demon King's 6th-generation descendant. Li Weiyi pressed his pursuit, slamming his palm against her chest. Her ribs shattered with a sickening crack, her chest caved in completely, and her lithe, graceful body snapped in half. As the saying goes, strike while the iron is hot. With every bone in her body broken, death came instantly. The great spiritual master from the Sui sect, standing by the riverbank, never anticipated that his opponent was also an insect tamer. He hastily manipulated the 4 talismanic runes in the sky to intercept the 4 phoenix-winged moth emperors hurtling toward him. The remaining rune shot toward Li Weiyi. Whoosh! The rune landed on his body. Li Weiyi was completely immobilized by the immobilization runes. Huo Zanbai, trained by the Sanchen Palace and possessing the 9 Springs pure immortal physique, knew the runes would only hold Li Weiyi for a moment. Seizing this rare opportunity, he surged through the crowd and delivered a devastating punch to Li Weiyi's chest. Bang! This heart-crushing fist, infused with heavenly Tao and law harmony, would either kill or critically injure even a martial mystic cultivator in the first stage of the 5 Seas realm. After all, the heart was the most vulnerable organ for any cultivator. The sudden attack left Yaoyan and Yinershiwu no time to react. They desperately raced toward Li Weiyi and Huo Zanbai. Though his body was paralyzed, Li Weiyi's spiritual power and spiritual qi still flowed within him. He channeled all his energy into the corpse garment soft armor he wore beneath his robes. This armor had been obtained from the bronze warship. A bloody handprint adorned the armor, its palm filled with countless scriptures. Now that Li Weiyi's cultivation had reached the 9 Springs realm, the ancestral field spiritual energy activated the handprint. Wisps of crimson mist seeped from the mark, quickly coalescing into a blood-red cloud that enveloped him. Zhuang Yu, watching from afar, was even more shocked than when she had witnessed Li Weiyi slay a 5 Seas realm cultivator with a single sword strike. Miss, she exclaimed, something's wrong with that man. He's hiding a great secret. On the other battlefield. Russell. The elderly insect tamer from Sanchen Palace released a swarm of iron-eating ants from his insect pouch. Though each ant was no larger than a grain of rice, their sheer numbers surged like a vast army, swarming toward the array's protective light screen that shielded over 200 young Zhu tribe martial mystic cultivators. Boom. Wang Daojun swung his formation-cracking whip, striking the light screen and creating fiery fissures. The iron-eating ants poured through the cracks, and screams erupted from within the array as chaos erupted. The formation collapsed. The 200 young martial mystic cultivators were now completely exposed. Wang Daojun finally exhaled in relief. Wielding the formation cracking whip had drained his spiritual qi. The hunt begins, he declared, leave no survivors. Annihilate the Zhu tribe's younger generation. Boom. He struck first, unleashing a torrent of 5 Seas realm, second stage spiritual qi from his sleeves. The force swept away 9 young martial mystic cultivators at the 6 Springs and 7 Springs stages, instantly killing them as blood gushed from their 7 orifices. Wang Daojun's ability to reach this place despite his 5 Seas realm, second stage cultivation was due to wearing the 9 talisman treasure robe, which offered partial protection against the dangerous, mysterious energy permeating the area. Yang Qingxi believed that such a powerful expert was necessary to ensure their safety. Huo Zanbai's agonized screams echoed from the distance. Wang Daojun, eager to unleash a massacre, immediately glanced into the mist, only to discover that several of his elite forces had already fallen. What a bunch of useless trash. He cursed inwardly, 2 5 Seas realm cultivators and a great spiritual master can't even take down a surging spring realm martial mystic cultivator. Wang Daojun was speechless with frustration. How could such a crushing advantage have resulted in such heavy losses? He channeled spiritual chi beneath his feet, gripped his 10-foot-long formation cracking whip, and charged forward. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, Huo Zanbai's fist struck Li Weiyi squarely in the chest, only to be violently repelled by a surging cloud of blood chi erupting from Li Weiyi's body. The force sent Huo Zanbai staggering backward, his arm numb. Yaoyan and Yin Shiwu swiftly arrived, engaging Huo Zanbai in several rounds of combat. Li Weiyi, having broken free from the immobilization runes, suppression, moved with blinding speed, leaving behind a trail of afterimages as he struck Huo Zanbai with a palm strike that sent him flying. Huo Zanbai crashed to the ground with a miserable shriek, blood gushing from his mouth as he lay motionless, unable to rise. Thwack! Yin Shiwu's sword severed Huo Zanbai's head in a single stroke. He snorted coldly, only 90 meridian veins. And the Sanchen Palace dares call you a seat of inheritance. Only those with 100 silver meridians deserve that title. Li Weiyi's gaze locked onto Wang Daojun, who was rapidly approaching. His eyes burned with hatred as he hissed, enough talk. Quickly escort the Zhu Li tribe's young martial mystic cultivators and spiritual masters toward Burial Immortal Town. They'll be relatively safe once they cross the true boundary of the 5 Seas realm. I'll hold back all the 5 Seas realm experts and great spiritual masters here myself. The true boundary of the 5 Seas realm. Yin Shiwu's eyes widened in surprise, but understanding dawned on him in an instant. His admiration for Li Weiyi deepened. He charged toward the group of young cultivators, roaring, fleeing outward as futile. The only path to survival lies inward. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.